Tony D and Little Joan, and this is a screenwriter's rant on the mill, starring Little Rel as a man trapped inside a mill run by an evil corporation. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 12 available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. I generally don't like these movies. So let me say that up front. I generally don't like these kinds of movies. They're kind of like Saw. You just torture the character for 90 minutes and then eventually they're free or they're trapped forever or they die. It's so contrived to me when a character wakes up in some place where they're trapped and then has to figure out all these crazy puzzles to get out. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But okay, it can be somewhat entertaining to put a dramatic actor in that. But this is Little Rel. He's a stand-up comic. Now, he was okay in Get Out. Get Out, the only funny bit in it is when Little Rel shows up to save his friend, and it's very funny because he has a bit of a freak out. And that's a weird moment too, because the movie's kind of intense, and then Little Rel shows up, and it kind of goes off the charts funny for about 3 minutes, and you're just like, what? It's a weird time to have a laugh in a movie, but okay. The problem with doing a movie like this with an actor like Lil Rel is the audience is going to be inclined to laugh. And so he's got to work extra hard in I'd call this a horror movie. I'd say sci-fi thriller, but okay, whatever. The audience is going to have to work extra hard to accept him as a serious guy, because their inclination is going to be to laugh. And if he even tilts into his stand-up persona even a little bit, you're going to want to laugh, because that's his natural inclination as a stand-up comic. And so in this trailer, there's a moment where he wakes up and goes, "Holy S, what?" Something like that. And I chuckled because it was kind of a funny reaction. But I don't think you want that in this kind of movie like The Mill. It's hard enough to sell this whole premise, like, oh, he's captured and knocked out, and he wakes up in the mill and he can't get out, and nobody knows where he is, and even though it's an open-air prison, he's so far away, nobody will ever find him, and he's trapped forever unless he does all these things. Like, you got to accept all that. And then on top of that, you got a stand-up comic. Like, there are very few stand-up comics that kind of made the transition into serious actor. Like, you could say Bill Murray, but Bill Murray was a comedic actor. He wasn't really a stand-up guy. He was an actor who did funny bits. A lot of SNL guys were. Lil Rel is a stand-up guy. And I don't think he has the range for something like this either. Because, like, if you put Patrick Stewart in this, and he basically did this kind of thing in an episode of Star Trek Next Generation, right? Where he plays a prisoner and they're torturing him the whole episode. There are 4 lights. That episode. That, you could put that on Patrick Stewart. He has such a range. He's a Shakespearean actor. He lives for that kind of stuff. Whereas Lil Rel, like, if you did this as a parody of one of these movies, and it was funny, it'd probably be pretty decent. Because you could do the same kind of things, but as you were torturing him, you could also make it funny. And then the ending could be ironic and funny too. So first act, he wakes up in there. He doesn't know how he got there. The Mallard company that runs the mill says, you got to push this millstone around. And at first he says no, but then they say, well, if you don't, we're going to kill you or shoot you or hurt you. So eventually he's forced to do it. Second act, he does it a bunch. Doesn't really help him. He realizes he's going to be trapped forever. Sorry, my nose is running still. Don't worry, I'm less sick. Just about over this. And the third act, he either gets out or is trapped forever. Now, in a Twilight Zone episode, sure, like a half hour, maybe even an hour, sure, you could make this work. But you're talking a whole movie. You're kind of putting it all on Rel to act this entire movie alone. And that seems too much for any stand-up comic, unless he happens to be an amazing actor. Little Rel is okay. I'm not trying to come down on the guy, but I mean, even that's kind of a funny still. This isn't a movie that's supposed to be funny. You'd have to buy into this guy's pain to make this movie work. I think this is the wrong person to cast in this. Like, you would need somebody, a real dramatic actor, a real dramatic guy. And I don't even know if a real dramatic guy could take a premise like this and really bring it up. It's just going to be 90 minutes of them torturing Little Rel. So, let's read the write-up. A businessman mysteriously wakes up in an open-air prison cell. With only an old grist mill, forced to work as a beast of burden, he must find a way to escape before the birth of his child. Why? I don't understand that at all. That just made it more confusing. Is this a future world? Is this an alternate universe? What is this? Is this Saw? I don't know what this is. It's very confusing. And to make it more confusing, you have a stand-up comic in it. I mean, this would be like putting Kevin Hart in this. Or what's his face? Tucker. Chris Tucker. You know, like, is Tucker a stand-up? I think Tucker did stand-up. Like, it's just, I don't think he has a range for this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be a dramatic triumph. But it's kind of a dumb premise anyway. So, it's on Hulu. It's called The Mill. And I'm very confused as to why it got greenlit. Other than, it looks like there's only one person in it, and it was probably relatively cheap to shoot. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. If you can find a more base take it. I will be at the Vineland Library tomorrow. Still planning on going. I believe it starts at 11 for FanCon. Let me just switch over here. Yes, 11 to 4 are the times. So come on down to the Vineland Public Library and get yourself a signed copy of the Pineys. Hope to see you there, and we'll see you in the next one.